Welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman, the podcast dedicated to helping you build the business of your dreams and live the life you always hoped for, with valuable and fun tips and info to make your life easier and more fun. And now, here's your host, a man who sprinkles metal shavings on his breakfast cereal just for fun, Jason Silverman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. I'm your host, Jason Silverman, and I'm thrilled to share some time with you today. We've got a beautiful day here in New Jersey. The sun's shining, the snow's melting, sort of. Actually, at this rate, I should be able to see my lawn again by early July. So this winter has been a whole lot of fun, but you know what? We're heading into spring, and everyone's kind of got a better attitude now. So I'm digging it. In any case, I am totally excited about today's episode. I've lined up somebody who I personally feel is a wonderful example of what the real deal is all about. So today it's going to be my honor and privilege to share a spectacular resource with you. You're going to love today's guest. He's a treasure trove of super valuable info, and I know that if you implement at least one nugget of information that he shares with you, you're going to benefit immensely, much the same way I did. For those of you who I work with personally through Powerful Words character development, all-star cheer sites, dance sites done right, or through my mastermind or coaching groups, you know how much I reinforce the value of being an amazing communicator, right? Well, today's guest is a master as well as a master teacher on helping others to do just that. As I'm sure you already know, I'm committed to helping business owners just like you to become more successful, enjoy your career more, and in general, make your life significantly more fun. We only go around once, right? Let's make it a good ride. All right, boys and girls, it's now that time. Stop surfing Facebook, put away your phone, your tablet, your cat, your dog, your kid, anything else that might possibly distract you from today's show. You're about to get some great and immediately usable information, and I want you to be able to get every single syllable of it, all right? Don't miss a second. So before we officially get going, I want to give you a little bit of background about our guest today. You may never have heard of James Malinchak, but he's one of the most requested business and motivational speakers in the world. He's delivered over 2,000 presentations for business groups, corporations, colleges, universities, and youth organizations worldwide for audiences ranging from 20 to 6,000, and has done so without being famous, any advanced academic degrees, and without any speaker designations from any speaker associations. He was twice named College Speaker of the Year. From small Pennsylvania steel mill town to self-made millionaire motivational speaker, James Malinchak is a true American success story, who's only one of 7 people in the world featured on the hit primetime reality ABC TV show Secret Millionaire. James is the only public speaker trainer in the world featured on Secret Millionaire, where he gave away over $100,000 of his own money on the show. An important part of James's life is to give back to those less fortunate, with numerous personal 5-digit donations and raising over $500,000 for kids' charities in the past 18 months alone. James owns 3 businesses, has read and researched over 3,000 books on personal and professional development. He also works with numerous celebrities, professional sports coaches, and athletes, and has even been interviewed on the celebrity red carpet by Hollywood interviewer Robin Leach. James is easy to learn and easy to use public speaking strategies and help you to become a big money speaker, getting paid to speak about what you already know and what you love, all while making a positive difference in the lives of others. And most importantly, this guy is the real deal and just a super, super person. So, James, welcome to The Real Deal. I'm thrilled to have you.
Hey, Jason, how are you, man? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, before we get started, for those who haven't had the opportunity and pleasure of either meeting you or hearing you speak, do me a favor, take a quick second. Tell people, who is James Malinchak? What are you passionate about? What makes you tick?
Well, first, thanks for saying I have a treasure trove of ideas. Man, I've been called a lot of stuff, but I've never been called a treasure trove, so that's a step up. So thanks so much for that.
My pleasure.
Well, I grew up in a very small steel mill town outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a town probably most folks have never heard of called Monessen, Pennsylvania. I think we had about 6,000, 8,000 folks. We didn't have much growing up. Dad worked in the steel mill. Mom was a lunch mother serving lunches to the kids at school. And I wasn't a great student. I was what you would call a C student, which is basically see your way through school. I did enough academically so I could play basketball. I took a basketball scholarship to the University of Cincinnati out of high school, and then my coach had gotten let go, so I ended up transferring and finally playing and graduating from a small school in Hawaii called University of Hawaii at Hilo. And after school, I started working my job as a stockbroker. It's what I always wanted to do for a major Wall Street investment firm. I was actually on the West Coast. And I love that. I just thought investments were fascinating. I thought they were so important. It was kind of like being a doctor. You know, you're helping people plan for retirement, plan for college, eliminating stress, basically, if people have money. And by the way, anybody that says money isn't important, I'll show you if somebody doesn't have any, because, money helps you to do a lot of the things, give back to charities, put a roof on a church, pay for your aging parents, et cetera, et cetera. So if anybody thinks money is not important, then I'll show you a non-serious entrepreneur. And basically, what had happened was I started getting asked to speak because I won some awards as a financial consultant, and I just started teaching folks in business basically how to stay motivated, how to build their business without cold calling, et cetera, et cetera. And then I kind of branched off and started doing the college speaking market because I wrote a book for students. And I thought it would be important to teach them how to get into the real world, get their job, and be successful. And none of this, stuff that they're never taught. I mean, my stuff is all about real world, no BS. Here's what you got to do. Here's how the real world really works, so to speak. And that one led to two led to three led to four, et cetera, et cetera. Went on to become 2-time College Speaker of the Year, co-authored a book called Chicken Soup for the College Soul. Have done a ton, kind of to round this out, a ton of talks, probably over 2,000 some talks over the years for corporations, associations, colleges, youth organizations. And then one day I get an email that came in, a little knock on the door from a little company called ABC Television. And they said, we're doing this show called Secret Millionaire, and we would like to have you on the show and live undercover and find amazing folks who are doing great stuff. And at the end of the time, tell them who you are, reveal your identity, hence Secret Millionaire, and start writing them checks to help further their cause and their mission. End up writing over $100,000 worth of checks. And so that's sort of the whole nutshell in 2 minutes there.
Well, you know what? For what it's worth, we've watched that episode a couple times. We DVR'd it initially, and got to tell you, not a dry eye in this house every single time. So,
well, and Jason, I'll tell you this, that sure, I gave $100,000, and yes, it was my own money. People always say, oh, that was sponsorship money, or that was the network's money. No, that was my money. I had to put it in an escrow account before we even filmed it, and even if the show didn't pick up, we didn't get our money back, So, but I will tell you this, Jason, I got way more out of what I learned from those amazing people who I interacted with on the show than they got out of the money I gave them. I mean, they taught me what true sacrifice and true serving and true giving is really all about.
It was a spectacular experience for you to go through it and for us to experience it, at least online. So thank you. Tell me this. I want to dive in because I know your schedule is insane. So I'm thrilled that we get some time with you. Tell me this. How were you able to go from being a complete novice speaker to earning millions of dollars selling products from the stage?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that I think are really important that a lot of folks miss out on. And the biggest one right up front is people think that when you get on the stage that you are actually, up there to perform and you're an orator. And no, it comes back to exactly something you said earlier. It's about being an amazing communicator, and it's about connecting and communicating and being real and authentic. It's not about being up there putting on a show. The one thing that most folks don't understand when they speak, especially if they want the audience members to take more continuing education home from them in the form of books, CDs, home study courses, DVDs, et cetera, coaching, consulting, is that no audience member wants to see a hero, a legend, or a celebrity up there. They want to see an average, everyday, real person like you and I who did it, whatever it is. And so one of the big mistakes I see a lot of folks make is that they don't connect with the audience because they raise themselves too far above the audience because they think, oh, I'm the speaker, or, I'm the communicator, et cetera, et cetera. And I see this even on webinars or hear it on teleseminars. And not that you don't have accomplishments or certain successes, but the way that you really get an audience to be engaged with you and then to want to learn more from you is that you just got to be real. You got to be who you are. You spent your whole life being you. The last thing you want to do is change now because you stepped on a stage. But I see folks who are different off the stage as they are on the stage. And so the number one thing is you got to be real. You got to be authentic. You got to really take the stage with the person who's sitting there in the audience with their best interest at heart. That I had a guy one time who said this to me. I'll never forget this. And after this, I said, well, I'll never work with this guy. This was several years ago, especially when I was starting out. Everybody approaches you and gives you kind of these ideas. And I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, I'm here to close the audience.
Oof.
I'm here to grab them by their ankles, turn them upside down, and shake them until their credit cards fall out. And I'm like, what? I'm like, are you serious? Like just please get away from me. I said, I'm here to do three things. AIM, AME, add value, make a difference, and enrich lives, so that if they enjoyed what I told them and they thought I can help them more, they would come to the inevitable conclusion by themselves at the end of the presentation that they wanted more from me and to learn more from me. And I'm just here to be me and tell my story and give some tips and ideas. Do I want the audience to, learn more from me and invest in my products or services? Absolutely. I think anybody does. But the first way, that guy, the way he told me that, I'll never forget that years ago. It was a blessing, in disguise, because I said, I never want to be that person. I never want to even be around that person. And I actually told the guy, please get away from me because, I don't even want to be 3 feet from you.
Wow.
So I think you got to be real. You got to have the audience's best interest at heart, and you really do have to want to add value, make a difference, and enrich their lives. And if not, you shouldn't be, offering a product.
Makes sense. Tell me this, as far as when people begin their speaking career, and this is going to be important because many of my clients and many of my listeners come from the after-school activity industry where, they're teaching martial arts or gymnastics or dance or cheer or swim. And that's why I felt that this would be fantastic information because, teaching is speaking and they got to do it right. But you feel like, I seem to remember at one of your conferences you talked about people speaking for free at the beginning of their speaking career. Do you still agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, a couple things that are so important. And by the way, anyone who, teaches dance or gymnastics or anything that you just described, I have such admiration. I grew up in gymnastics. My sister was a gymnast for a long, long time, and a very good one. Olympic trials, all of that. So I just have such admiration for anyone who does that. So anyone listening, many kudos to you, and thank you for the great stuff you're doing for kids. But, you said something very important. Teaching is speaking. We don't think that we're speaking, but we always are communicating and speaking in every situation that we're doing. So whether you're in front of one or whether you're going one-on-one to talk to someone about fundraising for your group or your organization, you're actually still public speaking. If you're just trying to motivate your team, you're public speaking. So again, the big thing I think today, especially in today's world, is that we want to really connect and feel like we know the person understands us. So if I could give one tip to anybody who's listening, when you speak, you want someone walking up to you, whether it's a kid, whether it's an adult, whether it's a talk, whether it's a fundraiser, whatever you're doing, someone should always walk up to you. This should be your goal. And they should say, man, I felt like you were talking just to me. Or I was put here today to hear you. Or I was put here today to hear that message. That really hit me and resonated with me. So, even when some of the best teachers, Jason, I look back, like even school, academically, were the teachers who kind of were in my head and in my heart and knew where I was at. And because maybe they told a story or they taught a topic in a way to where I sat there as a student, if you will, and said, man, Mr. Marino understands me, or Mrs. Monahan like kind of walked in my shoes before. She wasn't just preaching. She was sharing that she's been there before. So I hope that helps everyone. If you just remember that, because here's what happens. A lot of times we start as adults, or even as a business person having success, as an adult getting older, and we forget what it is like to be where the people we're talking to now are currently at. And so if I can give you just one piece of information to take away from this interview about communicating and having amazing communication to help empower and move folks, is always create your talk, whether it's a 2-minute talk or it's a 2-hour talk, whatever it is, a training or just an informal. Always think from the people's point of view of who will be listening to you, and try to create your message from that point of view, not your own point of view. Because we always, we create things from where we are, thinking that it's common sense or common knowledge, whereas there are folks who are way, way back on the scale, and we were there too when we started, but we create from where we are rather than where they are.
That's great advice. I love that. Tell me this. How did you learn to become such an effective speaker?
Oh, man, I got to tell you, I was like the worst. I was horrible. I mean, seriously. I was just telling a couple of my coaching members who we just had a mastermind not too long ago. I said, oh my gosh, I wish I would have saved this one video where it was my first paid talk of where I got like $200. And if I would have saved that talk, none of you here would ever doubt that you could speak and be successful, because I was like the worst. I forgot within a couple minutes into the hour talk, I forgot everything I was supposed to say. I had no note cards. I had no PowerPoint. PowerPoint wasn't even used back then. I started drinking long cups of water while I'm on stage to try to take time to remember what the heck I was saying. I couldn't remember anything, so I started making stuff up, and none of it made sense. It had nothing to do with my topic, and I stopped about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes into it, and started taking questions, because I thought, well, maybe I can take 45 minutes worth of questions, So I was horrible, man. But here, I just talked about this, and Jason, I know you're very big on this with your students, the folks you help and you teach. But I just talked about this at my last seminar and my last mastermind, because I really started thinking about how have I been blessed to be successful? And, it really comes down to one word. And you've heard it, you've said it, you've taught it to folks. We all know it, but we don't always do what we know. And so how I became a pretty successful speaker is one word. It's commitment. When I was awful, I always say this. You're always at a crossroads when you have things happen in your life. And you make a decision to go one way or the other. And so when I was awful and terrible and, couldn't remember a talk and, people laughed at me, etc., I hit the crossroads. We always come to the crossroads. And I said, well, I remember something that one of my mentors said to me. He's still a mentor to this day, my cousin. He said, in every situation in life, you can be bitter or you could get better, but you can't be both. Which one are you choosing? And I'll never forget that rang through to me so many times in my life, and to this day as well. So here I am, this horrible, terrible communicator, speaker, if you will, but I had that dream of being a top speaker in the world, but I'm like, man, I'm a nobody. I can't remember anything, And I remember my cousin's words: you can be bitter or you can get better. Which one are you choosing? And man, I committed, and I can say I'm proud of myself. I'm proud that I committed to be better. And I read every book you can imagine. I went to seminars. I learned from everybody I could. I listened to audio CDs. I watched videos. I invested in people for coaching. And I'm talking about, I still didn't know what I was doing, but I figured, look, if I'm just around enough good stuff like that, it will start rubbing off on me, if nothing less, right? I'll at least start just by being there. And lo and behold, it took a while, but I got better. I learned this. I tried this. I still messed up. I tweaked it. I adjusted it. Like you in martial arts, right? You can't go out and become a black belt overnight.
Of course not.
Yeah, so I think really if I had to, and I've thought about this a lot the last couple of months, that I think one of the main reasons people don't get what they want in life is they just lack commitment. They don't commit to themselves, not to be the best, but to be the best they could be every day, whatever that means for them and their situation. And I just committed that, hey, I might be terrible and horrible, but I'm going to get better. And by the way, I have nowhere to go but up from where I was at. So, but I committed, man. I said, I don't care if this takes me 20 years, I'm going to be better, because I'm not going to be bitter and quit.
That's a spectacular answer. And as somebody who's sat in your audiences and in your mastermind groups, got to tell you, you're a major role model as far as your ability to communicate and communicate effectively. I've been around a lot of people who can communicate.
So we played for 1 million people at one time. I'm like, holy cow. I'm like, and you never thought about getting email addresses. And they didn't. And then I went to see them here in Vegas when they played for 20-some thousand folks. And I said, and it was an outdoor night concert. And I said to them before, when the opening act was playing, I said, look around. You see all those lights? Those are all cell phones. I said, if we put a number up on the screen right now and said, hey, if I walked out on stage and I said, would anybody like to come backstage and meet the band after? How many of those cell phones do you think would send a text right now? And I said, every single concert you do, you can be picking up 20,000 people just by having them send a text through mobile text messaging. Well, it doesn't have to be a rock and roll band. Any one of us can do that. And that's something I do now. I put a text number up on the screen, and people, as soon as they text it, they're right into my email address book, and they're getting emails from us right away as they sit there simultaneously.
That's perfect. And everybody looks at their phone all day long, so that's ideal. We're also seeing an awful lot of success with the speakers that I work with who have a mobile app and get people into that world as well. But that's brilliant. All right, it is now time for our resource of the week. So, James, where can folks find out more about you? You've been tremendously helpful in my career. So where can I send people so that they can learn more about, again, how do I become a more effective communicator?
Oh, great. Well, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Well, I'm going to give 3 simple little websites. I teach the business of speaking. So how do you take your communication, your message, your stories, your how-to advice, and how do you actually turn that into what I call becoming a big money speaker? So you can simply go to www.bigmoneyspeaker.com. BigMoneySpeaker.com. You can get to all of our stuff through there. If you're specifically interested in the college market, then you should go to www.collegespeakingsuccessbootcamp.com, and that teaches how to speak and get paid for colleges and universities and youth groups. And if anyone's looking for me directly for possibly speaking for a group, it's real simple, just my last name, www.malinchak.com. That's MALINCHAK.com.
Perfect. And I will have all of these up on the show notes as well. So if people are streaming off the website, they'll be able to simply click right through. And folks, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, you owe it to your business, and you owe it to your clients to become a more effective speaker. It will change your life. It will change your stars. Go do this. So, now, James, I love to close with one really important question. If you could give business owners just one solid piece of advice to either help their business or, even more importantly, help them to just live a better life, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, one of my favorite quotes I always say and try to share with audiences, look, it's not how much smarts you have, it's how much heart you have. And, I can teach anybody in any industry any kind of skill. But the one thing I can't teach somebody is heart. So and that's what people like to do joint ventures with people who have heart and spirit and, want to make a difference. People like to hire people for jobs who have heart and passion and desire. The problem is we all have it. So many folks don't let it come out and don't show the excitement, so. And remember, it's not about academic degrees. It's not about, how many numbers or letters you have after your name. It's about, if you have the heart to make it happen, if you have that commitment, you have that desire, then don't hide that. Let that come through. And remember, it's not how much smart you have, it's how much heart you have.
I love it. James, thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, I know how crazy your schedule is, and it means the world to me that you some of your time to share some of your wisdom with us. So thank you.
Oh, man, anything for you, Jason. You know that. I'm just a phone call away, brother.
I appreciate it. Well, folks, that's all the time we've got today. Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. For more information about private coaching or to see if you'd benefit from one of my mastermind groups, please visit me over at www.jasonmsilverman.com. I look forward to helping you achieve the success that you truly deserve. Until next time, let me leave you with this. Get out there and be the real deal. I want you to set a plan, work like hell towards implementing it, and don't stop until you're successful. Now's the time. Get out there and make it happen. Go get 'em. This has been Jason Silverman, and I hope you have a spectacular week.
You've been listening to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. To access the great resources mentioned in the show and for information on coaching and mastermind group opportunities with Jason, please visit jasonmsilverman.com.